Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and it's go time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask all of you to stay off of this raised up platform here. This way, I got a little room to move around, do the whole hosting thing, and nobody blocks this giant display here, which, is big enough that we can see it. So that's a good thing. Now, if I can also direct your attention to your menu wheel, you're going to notice that there is a microphone at the very top of that. When that microphone is clear, that means we can hear everything that's happening in your environment. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change that to red. See, it's already been done. Thank you. And this means that you mute it, so we're not going to be able to hear anything that happens in your environment. Somebody comes into your space and says, "Hey, are you still on that thing?" Feel free to answer them because we're not going to hear any of that. Or if maybe you have a dog barking in the background, you want to face social ruin back in the campfire by becoming known as the avatar that suddenly started barking during its go time. Right? You don't want that to happen. But just because you're muted doesn't mean you can't express yourself. You're going to notice that you have a pink cheek smiley face in your menu wheel. That's your emoji panel. When you press it, that opens up in front of you. It gives you a wide variety of options with which to express yourself, right? So if I say something really deep and meaningful, it touches you right here, you feel it building up, you can just let it out, just let it flow, right? Maybe, I got some backup dancers backstage, right? Maybe they come out and we break into Go Time the musical, right? You're all very impressed. You can throw up the applause that I live for. Take a moment, drink that all in because it feels good. All right, now, if I ask you guys a yes or no question, you can say yes by smiling like this. You can say no by frowning like that. Or maybe I say something funny, you want to show me that, you can use this silly face emoji to show that you're laughing. Or you can do this. This is not the same as asking a question. This is a way to get my attention when something's gone wrong. So I'm up here and I'm waving my hands around, but no sounds coming out. And I see 5 hands go like this, so I know there's a problem. If I only see one of these hands, I'm probably going to keep on going. All right. So yeah, that works for that. For example, like maybe the display behind me bursts into flames. Don't laugh. That happened one time because my mods have a good sense of humor. Back when we gave them Terraformer, which is why we don't give them that anymore. Sorry, Lauren, but that's the way it goes sometimes in Altspace. You can press the X button to close that emoji panel, but it's a good idea to leave it open during events like this because it lets me know how I'm doing. But more importantly, it's going to let the people around you know what you're experiencing, right? So if, for example, the person next to you starts going like this, well, that means they found something funny. You may not agree. You may be like, "That's not funny at all. I'm going to go stand over here," which you can totally do, except not right here because, I mentioned that whole, stage thing, right? Okay, now Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang. You might pick up some useful information that helps, the growing Go community that's in Altspace. A lot of Go users in Altspace. As a matter of fact, mobile is the most common device used in Altspace, and that's made up mainly of Oculus Go's and now Oculus Quest. All right, let's see what we got here. So that's what we have. All right, cool. All right. So when now this is mainly going to be talking about some of the challenges that Oculus Go users face in Altspace. And speaking of challenges, I've been in bed for about the past year, 2 years or so. And don't worry, it's getting better, right? But it's due to a health condition, right? And so when my Go came, I was like super excited. I couldn't wait to get this thing on. You guys remember what that felt like the very first time you put on a headset, right? That feeling where you're being transported to another world. Yeah, I see Jordan remembers that, right? And you put that on there and you feel like you're being taken away to another place there. And, and I've been reading about Altspace for a while, so this was my first stop, right? And I stepped out of the load screen. The very first thing I did was I looked up. I didn't see them ceiling beams that we got now, but I saw the sky, right? And it looked a lot like the sky that I remember. And I was like, felt really grateful for it. So I started volunteering right away, right? Like the first day, in fact, actually. And what I found out was, my battery would die out before the event was over. And then I'd have to charge up. I'd have to come back into Altspace, track down the event host if I could find them, and explain, why I flaked out. So I got, off to kind of a rocky start, right? And, as I, kept going, I started asking questions, started trying to figure out how I can improve my device's performance to make this better for me, right? And while asking around, I heard some things, right? I was told that, for example, that on an Oculus Go, I wouldn't be able to work this laser pointer. And you know what? That turned out to not be true, right? I was also told that I wouldn't be able to work these slides up here, right? And on an Oculus Go, and that turned out to not be true. And I was also told that, that I wouldn't be able, despite having a background presenting material like this, I was told that I wouldn't be able to host these kind of events, right? And that also turned out to not be true. Been doing this a long time. Where are we going? What is this? The info zone? Oh, wow. I never go there. Good luck with that. All right. Okay. So yeah, that's, oh, okay. Well, that's distracting. That's why generally it's a bad idea to pop portals at events like this and throw people off. It's generally considered rude in Altspace, so you don't want to be getting around like that. But, going to the Infosys is probably new, probably hasn't learned that yet. So you waving, how's it going there? The heat, what's up? All right. So, let's see. Yeah. So, when I heard all this stuff and all this stuff turned out to not be true, I realized that there was a huge disconnect between what people thought it was like to be on one of these devices versus the reality of actually being on one. Okay, and and so yeah, it turned out that a lot of these things, the problem, not to say that there aren't any problems being on a go, there are, and I found that there's two approaches you can take to deal with it. So most of them can be solved, and at the very least, they can be managed. All right. Now, what you find is there's two approaches you can take. You can work with what you already have, or you can upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And if you've ever been here before, you know I can't stand this term. Because listen, if somebody tells you they hate your shirt every day, you know what you're going to think? Like every day they're telling you, I hate your shirt. I can't stand your shirt. You guys start thinking, it's not your shirt they don't like, right? And, so it's not a great feeling when you hear that kind of thing over and over again. They have other terms to, weaker device, they say inferior device. And none of this is true. The Oculus Go is a great device. It's a great way to get into VR. It's a great entry-level device. You become exposed to it, get used to it. Honestly, I'm on a Quest now, but if I started on the Quest, I don't think I would have stayed. All right, the Oculus Go lets you get used to VR in a gradual way. You don't got to worry about the up and down movement. You don't got to worry about the complexity of having two controls. And it's a really great way to get introduced to VR. And it's enough to get a lot of people hooked, and it's really just a fantastic device. But there are problems, and the way that you can address them, right? We're going to start out with the device you already have on your head, all right? And we're going to look at this is you may not realize this, but your device loses power even when it's not in use, right? Maybe it's checking for firmware updates, app updates. Maybe it's got a pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your device has a secret life that you know nothing about, right? But either way, when you put it down at night, you put it down with 100% power. By morning, it's going to have less of a percentage. And if you come into Altspace with like say 20% power, your screen's going to like flicker around a lot. So if you're going to be in Altspace, the kind of chief concern is to keep this device charged up as much as you can. And it may take some advanced planning. Like if you look on the AltVR schedule, you look at the event schedule and you think, what am I going to do tonight? And you see there's an event coming up called, Go Time. You've heard good things about the host. You've heard he's got this amazing hair and you heard he's got this shirt you're starting to see everywhere, right? Well, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure about an hour before the event begins, you're going to want to make sure you plug in your device so that you come in with 100% power, okay? And another thing you're going to notice is that when you first put your headset on, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clear out, because your device has been busy when you haven't been using it. I see a handgun up there. Arg. It's just fun to say. Oh, you're gone. Okay. Well, all right. Guess that's what he was screaming about. But yeah, you're going to find out that when you first put your headset on, you're going to want to clear out your device of all the temporary files from things it's been doing, like uploading and all this kind of stuff to get the best performance out of it. And the way you can do this is, the power button that you press when you turn it on. If you press and hold this button when you first put the headset on, you press and hold that button for a few seconds, you're going to see three buttons appear in the air in front of you. The middle button is going to say restart, and if you select that, your device is going to restart. It's going to clear out all those temporary files. So if you have 100% power and you've just, I like to think of it as clearing your mind when you reset your headset like that. So you've 100% power, you just cleared your mind out, and you come into Altspace, right? As that's as good as it's going to get, right? And then you come into Altspace, and you may have noticed when an important role body language plays in Altspace. Like you may notice if you're in an event like this, and a moderator comes up to you and they start shaking your head like that. That means don't do that thing, right? They didn't have to say a word. It's body language. It's very powerful in here, right? And or maybe like, I'm up here on the stage and I'm going like this, right? And that means without me saying a word, it's like get off my stage, right? But occasionally you're gonna find that your hand doesn't match, like your real world hand might be right here, but your avatar's hand might be right up here. And when they don't match like that, your body language isn't gonna be convincing. So when I go to wave somebody off my stage like this, like that, what you guys are going to see in here is my hand going like this. And it's going to look like going, hey, everybody, welcome to Go Time. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying stay off my stage. It's a very dangerous place, trained professional. Can't be doing that. All right. So, how do you fix this? What you do is you're going to notice that just below your trackpad, you have two buttons, right? And the very bottom button, don't touch this now because if you disappear, I'm going to feel it. You're a small audience. It's going to register deep, right? But if you have that bottom button there, right? When you press that one time, you get taken out to the Oculus main menu, right? But it does something else. And this you can do now. If you look straight ahead and you hold your hand out at the side like this, and you press and hold that bottom button, you're going to see the white circle spin in the air in front of you, and your hand is going to snap right into place, right? And when that happens, take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? Okay, if it is, then you could. If it's not, do this as many times as it takes till it feels comfortable. Only you can determine what feels comfortable for you. And when you do, you can find your body language is a lot more convincing. And when that happens, it can increase your immersion and increase your connections with people if you, can communicate more effectively that way. All right, now we also have one of the best pieces of advice. Oh, actually, one thing that's going to happen in Altspace from time to time is you're going to notice that your menu wheel in the lower left there, sometimes it's going to drift around. Like it might be in front of you, it might move behind you, and it might be in some places that are hard to reach. It's important to remember, right, that your menu is always in your hand at all times. Just below the trackpad, you're going to find a button, and when you press this, your main menu is going to open up in front of you. And if you're looking straight ahead when you do this and you press it again and that menu closes, you're going to find that repositions your menu wheel and your space buttons. Like you have the world editor, you've got host tools in some places. Sometimes you have the ask question button, and usually your avatar is supposed to be right in the middle. That feels balanced. But if your menu wheel should, shift over like that, you can feel a little unstable. All right. So the best thing to do is just look straight ahead and press the button directly below the trackpad, and look. The menu opens up. You press it again, and that should take care of that. One of the best pieces of advice I got when I was having those battery issues is somebody told me to turn down my brightness, and I did not want to do it. I did not want to do it at all. I wanted to have the best graphic experience I possibly could have in Altspace. And to me, that meant having my brightness turned way up, right? Retina burning levels. I mean, it was kind of painful. Your eyes hurt in the beginning quite a lot. And, but I was having awesome graphics, or so I thought. But I figured I was so desperate about my battery running out that I figured I'd give it a try. So every time I came into Altspace, I'd go to my Oculus main menu. I'd go over to the right side where it says settings, right? And over on settings, I'd look about, halfway over where it said brightness. I made sure auto brightness was off, and I turned the brightness down a little bit at a time. That big blue bar that was there, I turned it down. Each time I came into Altspace, I turned it down a little bit more and a little bit more until finally there was no blue at all. My brightness was completely off, and I came into Altspace and I could not believe what I saw. One of the worlds that I used to, started out moderating in, used to have this tree off in the corner where I learned how to moderate. And, I came in and I looked at that tree and I couldn't believe how real it looked. Like the graphics were incredible. So if you turn down your brightness, you're going to enjoy, better graphics, better performance, but most importantly, your battery's going to last longer. And it was around then, and I started to learn that people actually hung out after the event was over. I didn't know that before then because I couldn't last through it. So yeah, turn down your brightness. It's a good thing. Now, one of the things that Oculus Go users are known for, and it's kind of where we get sort of a bad reputation from, is we actually have a very powerful microphone in our headset. So powerful, in fact, that it picks up the sound from your straps, from the speakers, and then that comes out of your avatar. But in Altspace, we don't know what our avatars sound like, right? So you could be, walking along in the campfire, minding your own business, and you see a group of avatars talking. They're all, standing there talking to Alex here, saying, "Hey, Alex, how was your day? How you doing, man? I haven't seen you in days," right? And then, all of a sudden, we hear a sound. We look over, and we see this avatar standing there. And we hear our voice coming out of that avatar. And people will walk up to you. They'll be like, "Are you want to go? Are you want to go?" And that can feel like not great. But what they're experiencing is not great, too, because they're hearing their own voice come out of your avatar as it was in the past, and it makes you talk to you. Fortunately, it's really easy to solve this. What you want to do is you're going to notice on your headset, on the upper left there's two buttons. The leftmost button is the volume down button, and just next to that's the volume up button. And when you press either of these, you're going to see these vertical bars appear in the air in front of you. Some will be solid and some will be clear. What you're going for is 4 clear bars on the right-hand side. And that's 4 ticks away from the maximum. And this will be set the volume at such a level that the microphone is going to have a harder time picking up those sounds. One of the best things you can do, though, is if you attach a pair of headphones to your headset, right? That's really going to take care of things. Make that happen. Not at all, really. And then after that, the only voice coming out of your avatar is going to be your own. You could also go with a pair of inexpensive earbuds. In my case, my wife went to the library to get an audiobook, and she came back with these free earbuds that they gave her, and they disappeared, right? They, suddenly vanished. But they reappeared a short time later, captured my headset, and they remain there to this day, right? And it works out. Because after that, the only voice that came out of my avatar was my own. Occasionally, you'd hear my wife asking, "Are you still on that thing?" Right? We fixed that too, though. We got her own headset, brought her into VR. Turns out she's a really gifted world builder. She's very talented, and she makes a great moderator too. She helps us out all the time. She's very good. Lucky to have her. Okay, so now do that, and that'll help a lot. Now, one of the things that you can also do, all right, is you can upgrade your experience to, to exceed all those, so-called limitations, right? And I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience. And I call it this because I go into worlds where other Go users were crashing after I made the changes I'm about to talk about. And it wouldn't happen to me. I'd watch them disappear. I'd watch them fall on the floor. And sometimes my device would stutter a little bit, but I was still there. I wouldn't get kicked out of Altspace. And, so This stuff that I'm going to talk about, though, involves these products. And before I discuss them, I just like to say that these are not the only products that work. These are, just it's the ideas behind these products that really actually matter, right? And you're going to notice that the temptation is going to be to write these things down, right? Now, it's difficult to write things down in VR. So, what we do is we provide links. And it's easy to find these links by going to altvr.com. If you go up to where it says channels, you're going to see a list of all these Altspace event channels. You're going to see Ravenhall events like it says up in the sound booth over there. And there on that page, you're going to see, all these products listed out there for your convenience. You're also going to see the join Discord button if you want to help us out with these events. And then you're going to see the most important button on the internet, right? The subscribe button. When you guys press this, it lets us know that you enjoy our content. It lets Altspace know you enjoy our content. And it makes us feel good. We don't get paid to do this, and it's a nice way to say thank you. All right. These products that can change your experience are the Anker Power Core Battery Pack. Has a 16-hour capacity, and I figured I'd never need to be in Altspace or anywhere for 16 hours because I like food, I like sleep, all that kind of stuff. Right? Her water's good too. Thinking about trying some of that. And so I got that, and I figured that would address the power issues because the Oculus says not to use a device while it's plugged in, but they say using an external battery pack is fine. But around the time I got this, I'd heard a lot of people were having trouble charging their device, right? And I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you plug in your device, it's very tight connection. And I figured all the wear and tear over time was going to be like, it was going to wear it down and wouldn't make proper connection, wouldn't charge as effectively. You shaking your head? No? Right? No, it's true. I really thought it was going to wear it down. Yeah? Okay, cool. Good to know. All right. And so I found this MagSafe cable, and what this does is if you plug one end into the battery, a tip goes into the headset, and it's held in place by a magnetic connector. Now, if you turn your head suddenly when you're in VR and the cable just pops off because it's only held in place by a magnet, you don't even have to come in out of VR to fix this. You just pick up the wire, hold it to the side of the headset, and it'll kind of thunk right into place. And if your microphone is open when you do this, it's going to make that sound. Your friends will be like, what was that? And you can be like, that's power. That's what that was, right? You don't have to say that. Not required. I just thought it was fun to do. All right. So, but around the time I got these, right, it solved my power problem. I was lasting a lot longer in Altspace, but I kept overheating all the time. Right now, the faceplate on the Oculus Go, it's installed in my hand, right? So people are going to experience different results. Some lucky few never overheat at all. Some people, will overheat, only now and then. Some people overheat every 2 minutes, right? Some people overheat every 20 minutes. For me, it was about once every half hour. So I heard there were also people putting like ice packs on their headset, and I don't recommend doing this because condensation, water, electricity on your face, probably not a good combination. And the few people I know who tried this, they ended up going through more than one headset. So I don't think it's a good idea to do. What we did find was this AC Infinity USB fan. It's a mini fan, so it's really small. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's super cheap. It's about $10 US. This cable here is about $7 US, and the battery pack's the most expensive thing up there. It's about $50, $60 US, but they come in different sizes and capacity, even colors actually. So this mini fan, when it arrived, I was to moderate in the meditation event in Altspace. And I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but it's a really elaborate space. It's like on top of a mountain. There's like smoke coming up out of these bowls. There's like fog with sunlight streaming down. It's an amazing space. But I would always overheat like 20 minutes into the experience, right? And every 20 minutes, I would crash whenever I was going there. And so I figured it was a great place to test this fan when it arrived. But first, I had to figure out how to hook it up to my device, right? What you want to do is you want to make sure that the silver part is facing the faceplate, right? And I used those elastic hairbands, right, to hold in place. So I put the elastic hairbands on the straps, and I'd wrap the other end around these round rubber feet here. And so then I came into Altspace, and if you ever seen Star Trek, the Borg, I felt like a Borg because I had all these wires hanging down, right? I made all these resistance jokes, and I came in, and I asked the host, Jeremy, if he could hear my fan. He was a really nice guy. He says, not at all. So I turned it up to medium and said, how about now? And he said, a little bit, but it's not that bad. Right there, I turned it up to full blast. And before I could even ask, he goes, I can definitely hear that. Right? Sounds like you're in a wind tunnel. So to play it safe, I lowered it down to its lowest setting. Right? And once there, I, asked him, like I went through the whole experience. And 20 minutes in, I didn't overheat at all. Right? Problem solved. But I wanted to see where the line was. So what I did was, I stayed till the event was over. I didn't overheat at all. Then I went to another event to see how that worked. And and didn't overheat at all. It's 2 events in a row, didn't overheat once. And I went to another event, 3 events in a row, didn't overheat at all. And then I went to hang out in my home space. And in my home space, right, all my friends were hanging out for a while. And then it happened. For the very first time, I left Altspace by choice. Not because I was tired, not because I was overheating, not because, because I was crashing at all, because, I ran out of power or anything like that. I left Altspace by choice. And it was the very first time that it ever happened before. Right? And it wouldn't be the last. After that, I started coming in Altspace all the time. I started, hosting events. I started moderating a lot more events. I was everywhere, right? And you can be too. All you gotta do is make a few small adjustments. They're relatively inexpensive and it takes care of most of the problems, but it doesn't take care of all the problems. And these problems are more like annoyances. What you're gonna find is, first one I'm gonna talk about some movement issues, right? Like what's gonna happen is if say you're in a campfire and you turn to the left to say something to Mario, but instead of turning left, you go straight. And you're like, what was that? That was weird. So like, you go turn right to tell Liam about it. And what happens is you move straight again and you're like, whoa, what's going on? So I press down on the controller, right? To move backwards. Instead of moving backwards, I go straight again. And that was really weird. So I start panicking. I start bashing on all the buttons. And every time I do, I keep going forward. And the next thing you know, I'm standing inside of an admin. There is nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin. I saw things. I saw the past. I saw the future. I saw things about development, current affairs, everything, gossip. It was all there. All the things many. I couldn't get away from it. It was everywhere. I still have nightmares about it. And you know what? Right? This is actually pretty easy to manage if it happens to you. Right? What you can do is you take your thumb and you swipe it across the trackpad from right to left or from left to right. Right? And when you get to the other side, lift your thumb off completely off the trackpad, cross over to the other side, come down and do it again very gently. Don't push down when you're doing this. Right? And it takes 2 or 3 times. You go swipe, swipe, swipe. And on the final one, come down in the direction that you want to go, and you're going to be moving in all the ways you want to, and that won't happen. You don't need to worry about that if it should happen. All right, now the other thing that's going to happen to you occasionally is you're going to put on your headset and you're going to see a notice that says can't find controller, and you're probably going to panic, right? Because you put a fresh battery in there last night, right? That can happen when your controller battery runs out. What's going to happen is you are, going to, obviously, if there's no battery power in there, you're going to get that message. But if you put a fresh battery in there last night and you still get this message, and it's usually going to happen when you're in a rush, right? Like maybe you're hosting an event, you're monitoring an event, maybe you got a hot date in here. I can hear that can happen from time to time. And, but you can't find a controller. Maybe the controller found out about your headset secret life, right? And isn't happy about it. They're no longer speaking. What do? Well, you remember that time you went to Go Time and you heard those 2 words, double down. And what I mean by this is just below that trackpad, you've got those 2 buttons. And if you press and hold those 2 buttons, you're going to see a little white light appear on top of the trackpad. Now, if you're wearing a headset, you're not going to see that, of course. But what you will see is when you lift your thumb up, you got your back. And you're going to step into that load screen. You can be like, man, I am glad I went to Go Time. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about. I doubled down and everything's better. You got to your event on time. If that should happen to you, you're welcome. All right, now, the other thing you're going to be concerned about is occasionally in VR, your screen is going to go dark. All right? What I mean by this is like you'll be out, you talk, you're having a good time, a conversation, and all of a sudden you won't be able to see. But if your microphone's open, people still be able to hear you, and all you gotta do is say, I'll be right back. You press that bottom button in your controller, which is like an eject button, and you'll have a choice to, quit or resume. There's no sense pressing resume, still won't be able to see. If you press quit, it'll close the app and you can restart it. One of the best things you can do, and the reason this happens is because everything you see in this room, that's in your headset. So when this event is over, you're back in the campfire, you're not thinking about Go Time anymore, but your headset is. Your headset is still wondering what happened to our beloved helper and companion Shrub. We don't know. He's still missing. But, we can talk about that later. But yeah, it's sad. It really is. He's gone now. But, that's in your headset. It's going to stay there until you reset, until you leave Altspace to reset your memory. And then what you can do is you can get ahead of this before it happens, right? And the way you do this is, again, you just press that bottom eject button, right? And you can choose when it happens, right? So clear the memory out manually. And the way you do this is like when this event is over and your friend turns to you and says, that was awesome. He was so dedicated. What do you want to do now? Right? Well, then you can go, let's go to the campfire. Right? And your friend says, that's a great idea. And you say, all right, you go ahead. I'll catch up. That's all you got to say. Now, press that bottom eject button, press quit. Right? Your app closes. You restart the app. When you get back in, you look at your friends list. You see where your friends are already in a campfire. You hit go to. The whole process takes less than a minute. But when you get to the campfire, your memory is going to be cleared out. So you're going to be less likely to have that dark screen come up. All right. It happens a lot less in Altspace. They've made a lot of changes to make Altspace more performant. So there are less issues like that, but it still can happen from time to time. And the best way to manage it is to get ahead of it before it does. All right. Now, I do have some world building tips if anybody is interested. So if you show me some emojis, if you want to see those, I'll go over them. If not, I'll skip over them. So give me some hearts if you want to see the building tips. Anybody? All right, cool. All right, so we're going to pass by over that then. All right, we got 1 hearts. Mario, you're interested in seeing this? All right, cool. All right, we'll do it for you, Mario. It's only for you. All right. So what happened? Oh, we also got Oculus Go wants to see it too. All right, cool. Because I'm running a little over on time here. So just to let you know, if I'm late, it's totally not my fault. It's everybody else. All right, so I'm not taking blame for that. All right, so the thing of it is, I actually moderate building worlds every week on Tuesdays, just about every week anyway. And when we moderate over there, occasionally you're going to hear people say they're on an Oculus Go and they can't build. All right, that's simply not true. These devices are capable of remarkable precision. But where do people get the idea that you can't build on a Go? Right. Well, it comes from when you go into the world editor. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, right? If you go into your main menu under settings, general, if you have worlds beta enabled, you'll be able to see the worlds tab, and you'll be able to build worlds in your home space, and you just get a starter world to go out with there. But a lot of people get the idea that they can't build worlds on the go, and it's not true. They get this idea because, right, when you start editing, like in there, and you grab an object in world, right? All of a sudden you're trying to level it, and it's going everywhere, right? It's going crazy. And after a while, you realize that it's your head that's controlling the movements. And you're like, what is going on? Because I don't know about you guys, it's very hard to keep a level head in any reality, let alone a virtual one. So what you want to do, the move that's going to change your life, is if you go into the world editor there and you choose lock rotation, right? Once you click on that, everything's going to get better, right? Now all you have to do is point at the object once and squeeze and release the trigger one time. And when you do that, right, now you're going to be able to level it out how you want it, and then you squeeze and release that trigger one more time, right, while pointing at the device, and it'll lock right into place. Then you can also squeeze and hold the trigger, and then you'll be able to move the object up, down, left, and right, okay? You can swipe your thumb while holding the trigger across the trackpad, right, left or right, and it'll make the object larger or smaller, or you can swipe it up and down and push the object away to bring it closer to you. But you could also carry it around and place it where you want it, right? So like, let's say I walk around here and I come down, and I place this right on the edge of the stage, right like that, right? Now that doesn't look too good, right? It's hanging off the edge here. If that was the real world, this would be on the floor right now, right? But on an Oculus Go, you only have to get it close enough. And now what you want to do from here is you want to open up that world editor, look for the laser pointer in that item list, and you're going to see a cogwheel there. And when you press that cogwheel, it's going to open up a panel. And on this panel is going to be numbers for rotation, numbers for position, number for the scale or the size. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to experiment with these numbers. So let's say that it has like an X value for the position of like 20, right? And I change it to 19. And all of a sudden, it pops over here. Now, just from that little experiment, I know that anytime I lower the number for any object that I place in this room, it's going to move in that direction on the X, right? Which must mean that the Z is going to move that way, and the Y, of course, is going to be up and down, right? So that means if I, change the value in the other direction, it's going to move in that direction. Now, right, everything I do, everywhere I go from here building, it's going to get easier and easier. And I know that little keyboard that they give us to type on, right? It's not exactly, quick or easy, but it's a lot like when you first start playing a video game. First time you're playing a video game, you're just thinking about the controls, right? But after about a week, you don't think about the controls anymore, right? You just think about, saving the world or crushing your enemies. That's a great way to spend a Wednesday, right? So it gets easier and easier the more you do it, all right? And there's a lot of very talented Oculus Go world builders in Altspace, and, you could be one of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing your work. All right, now we will be taking your questions or your comments right now. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to open up the floor for questions, and you're going to see a raise hand button appear as if by magic in your lower right. And if you press on that, I'm going to get you on my list, and I can take comments right there, and anything like that if you have any. All right, so give that a minute to fill up. While we're waiting, if you are on Twitter and you'd like to follow us, you can find us at Ravenhall @__Uncanny Valley. That's 2 underscores, even though it looks like 1. All right, let's see. I don't have anybody on the list yet. So we usually, when our events are over, what we do is we take everybody flying. And if you've been here before, we usually do it through a portal. It's in that back door there. But you'll notice that portal's gone, right? And it's been replaced by this big red shiny button, right? Very proud of the shiny button, right? When I press this, something very special is going to happen, right? We're going to press this button, and those of you who are waiting are about to, for the end here, are about to get a nice reward, right? It's a nice treat. I'm going to press this button, and when I do, look out. You're going to hear an announcement play, and look out the window. You're going to see, now, has anybody flown the Ravenhall Talons at the Flight Academy yet? Right, these are the ships that you can fly around. You haven't seen that yet? All right, cool. Well, what you can do is you're going to see one of these ships fly by the window, right? And it's going to spin up in the air. It's going to fly over those trees out back, and it's going to meet us in that backyard area, and it's going to take us out to the Ravenhall Flight Academy, where I'm going to teach you guys to fly if you haven't learned already. Or if you have any questions, I'll take them there. All right, so that said, I'm going to now push this button, right?
Ravenhall Talon aircraft en route to your position.
There it goes. Look at her fly. That's nice, isn't it? Very cool. All right, let's go out and meet her, everybody, and go outside and watch her come down. you want to take the teleporter. And, if you've learned anything here today, please share it with the people that you've learned. If you're in a campfire and somebody says, their face is on fire because they're on an Oculus Go, right? Tell them about that fan, about this event, it'll help out a lot. Here it is. Here's our ride, everybody. Yeah, that's nice. It's coming up good. I like that.
Talon aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Raven Hall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's been a great audience. Hopefully I'll see you at the Academy. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.